Hi, I'm Parker Dahl,
And I'm Warren,
and welcome to So What?
place where we ask the question that so many of our students are thinking about when it comes to historical events. So what?
Why do I need to know about World War II? Everyone knows sequels are always a major letdown.
It's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
The following are but some of the answers to those questions, and as always, you should make up your opinion based on facts.
Today, we will talk to you about the lead up to World War II.
Specifically, the appeasement of Germany.
We left off last time talking about totalitarian governments and how they are gaining power.
These authoritative regimes were consolidating the government, making it so a single ruler could decide issues for the entire country.
The first thing you need to know about the appeasement of Germany is the word appeasement. The act of pacifying or placating to someone by accepting to their demands.
This is something that we see all the time. Imagine a grocery store where a parent is with a young child. We'll say that child is 5 years old. That child asks their parent if they can have a candy bar. The parent kindly says no and explains that it would be bad for their health. In some cases, that would be the end of it.
But not in this case. This child starts to cry, but just a little bit. The parent stands firm, no candy. So, the child starts to scream. They start running up and down the aisle, knocking everything off the shelves. They are causing utter chaos. They see the cart. They take aim. They run as fast as they can at that cart where the parent says, "Stop! Just stop. Fine. Okay. You can have the candy. Just please stop destroying the store."
The parent has now bought some silence, and the kid has what they wanted. But the kid also learned an important new skill. A way to get candy from the store in the future.
What does any of this have to do with World War II? I want you to imagine Hitler, as if he were that child in the store who wanted the candy bar. And Neville Chamberlain,
The British Prime Minister, kind of like a president.
as the parent in the store. Hitler was upset about a lot of things, but mostly he just wanted his country to be strong again.
So Hitler wanted to militarize Germany, even though it was directly in conflict with the Treaty of Versailles.
Chamberlain said, well, the treaty was pretty unfair, so it's okay if they break it, just this once.
But then Hitler started yelling that he really wanted Austria and Germany to be one country again.
Chamberlain thought to himself, well, they're just trying to find the right balance from a treaty that was just too harsh to them in the first place.
Then Hitler pointed to another country, Czechoslovakia, and he started jumping up and down, screaming that it belonged to him, too.
Chamberlain said, no, you can't have any more countries.
Hitler said, this is the last one. I promise. I want peace, too. I won't need any more after this.
Chamberlain thought to himself, well, a strong Germany will be able to push back against the Soviet Union. Hitler hates communists, and so does Britain. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? They signed the Munich Agreement, where Germany promises they won't take over any more land. And Chamberlain actually tells his country and the world he has negotiated peace in our time.
Hitler had all the things. Then he saw Poland and wanted that, too. He needed what was called Lebensraum. He needed more space for the German people. He decided to take it, and boom.
World War II begins.
But so what?
This is getting weird.
Why should I care about some children throwing tantrums? Is it happening in my swamp? No? Then keep me out of it. Keep your waffles in Belgium and let me enjoy my isolationism.
Fair point, my good, knight. We should ask a person about their concerns. Let us go back to 1938 France. Hello, random French individual. Can you please tell me why you might be worried about things happening in another country, specifically that country of Germany?
Oh, bonjour, mon ami. Why, of course. The Germans will stop at nothing to hurt the French. We have been bitter enemies for generations. Just because the Germans aren't currently attacking France does not mean that they won't. This is why we are prepared.
Oh? And how are you prepared?
We built the Maginot Line, of course. It is a great wall that no German army could ever penetrate.
What about that portion over there? There doesn't seem to be any sort of wall.
That is the border with Belgium. The Germans surprised us once by attacking through Belgium. They would not strike again, for they would not have the element of surprise. So we shall not expect them to do it again.
Uh-huh. Okay, bye now. As you can see, countries were simply worried about their own sovereignty. In fact, this is what most countries are worried about, even to this day.
This is why we have foreign relations. If we can work with other countries, then maybe we can stop some of these atrocities before they happen. The question is, should we act?
If we means the US, and the US considers itself to be the strongest country in the world, well, if it sits back and watches bad things happen to people that it could stop, isn't it kind of responsible for those bad things?
Well, take the Rwandan genocide, for example. You probably haven't even heard about it. In 1994, 800,000 Tutsis, the ethnic minority group in Rwanda, were killed. Did anyone step in to stop them? No. The international community closed its eyes. The crazy thing was that outside of the atrocities, journalists, radio broadcasters, and TV reporters were there. The world knew it was happening. And what did the United Nations do? Nothing.
At the same time, acting isn't always the right thing to do. It requires a country to be acting in good faith. If that country has, let's say, bad intelligence, or just bad motivations, then obviously they would just be adding to the problem.
Take the invasion of Iraq in 2003, originally billed as an extension of the war on terror, because Saddam Hussein, the leader of Iraq, was harboring not just weapons of mass destruction, but also terrorists. In a combined military effort, the US, the UK, Australia, and Poland invaded Iraq. But the US intelligence was wrong, as they found no trace of weapons of mass destruction, and later on, multiple investigations have taken place questioning the legality of the invasion.
Even with those questions answered, the question becomes, when do you act? At which point do you say enough is enough? Is it when a rebellion tries to overthrow an unjust government? What does unjust even mean? Is it when civilians are attacked by the regime? Is it when your country itself is threatened? Or is it only when your country is invaded by another country?
If one looks at Venezuela, for example, right now they will see a country with an economy that has collapsed. The people are starving, opposition is suppressed, the government has been accused of manipulating elections, President Maduro is becoming more of an authoritarian, experts are divided on if we should intervene.
And then you have to answer the question, how do you act? Let's say that you've established some firm understanding of when you're going to. Well, what's the proper response when that line is eventually crossed? Are you going to simply attack with military? Is it going to be people on the ground? Is it going to be with planes? Is it going to be bombs? Or are you going to take a diplomatic avenue, maybe with sanctions, or trying to get other countries to put their force on another country?
Take the example of Syria. A series of rebellions had risen up to overthrow their authoritarian regime. Civilians were getting caught in the crossfire, but President Obama made a decision. He said the red line that couldn't be crossed was the use of chemical weapons on civilians. Instead of taking direct military action, he went to Syria's ally, Russia, and negotiated a diplomatic response that stripped the Syrian government of chemical weapons.
This response was heavily criticized. But before you can criticize really any decision, you have to establish what was the goal. Was the goal to have a showy response that ultimately had little meaning, like bombing an empty airfield? Or was it to remove the chemical weapons so they couldn't be used on civilians again?
So living in the US has provided all of us a lot of benefits. We could shut our doors to the problems of the outside world in some cases.
But in a lot of ways, we would be leaving our friends to be vulnerable to people that might want to do bad things. And in that way, we would be culpable for those things happening. Not to mention, we would just be waiting for that problem to reach our doorstep.
Like in World War II, America had no interest in going into war in Europe again. Twice within 20 years.
So they decided to practice isolationism. That is, until December 7th, 1941, when the Japanese Empire bombed Pearl Harbor. America didn't want to enter World War II, but World War II had come to America.
Just because a problem seems far away doesn't mean it will stay that way.
The question is, what should we do? And the only way to answer that is to do your own research.
Have a great day.
I am much bigger and stronger than those shiny knights. If I don't save the princess, then she may never escape that tower. And if she does, then she will simply be a puppet to Farquaad, who will only use her title to get more land. Maybe even my swamp. That's it. I'm going to rescue the princess. Donkey!
I'm making waffles.
I hear tanks, but I do not see them. Oh no, the Belgian border again. Ah, we have been surprised yet again. Ah, don't worry, the British will join us as well. Again, war is upon us.
Hey, Woodville, just want to reach out to you again and say thank you. Hopefully you're doing well. We miss you. We wish we'd be in the classroom, but we can't. So at this point in time, if you have any comments or concerns, please send us an email or comment in the video below, and we'll see you next week. Take care.